once again, welcome everyone. I'm getting organized up here. I am honored to fill in for Reverend Anna, who will be returning with us next week, and I can't wait to hear about her adventures in Scotland. So we look forward to her returning. So, our affirmation this month, we've not done our affirmations yet. Now, affirmations are statements of truth, and I don't know about you, but I'm not always in alignment with the truth of who I really am, and that's what affirmations help me do, and that's to come into alignment with that, and that's why we repeat them here. And so if you will join me in saying our affirmations, I say yes to my blessings. Now I'm going to ask you to stand up for this next one so that we can kind of feel it with our whole being. All right, together. I say yes to my blessings. And this last time, we'll say it again because we know it. We're not just speaking it. We are speaking from a place of knowing that this is what we do. And say it to each other as well. So together, I say yes to my blessings. Wonderful, thank you. And you may be seated. So November, Thanksgiving, time that we think about things that we are grateful for. As Americans all over, not just here in the States, but wherever we are, we will be celebrating Thanksgiving. And this month, our theme is gratefulness. And knowing this, and knowing I would be talking today, I mindfully became aware of what does that mean to me? What are my experiences of being grateful, of having an attitude of gratitude, but more than that, what does it mean living from gratefulness? Since I was going to be talking on it, I better figure out how I was doing all this, right? And think about it. Well, our theme, I said, is gratefulness this month. And also in our spiritual growth class on Sunday mornings, we are looking at various wisdom teachers who speak to gratefulness, who speak to living from that place. And one of the ones that we've watched this Sunday and last Sunday has been Brother David Steindl-Rast. He is a Benedictine monk, and he is 91 years old, but he has made grateful living what he does since he has came from Austria in the 50s. And it is an art. That is who he is. And he still lectures and travels about the art of grateful living. And what I like about what he says is gratefulness is not thankfulness. So it makes you pause and made me pause. And he says, because thanking is thinking. Thanking is thinking. But he says that gratefulness happens before thinking. And his words are, it is the spontaneous response of the human heart to the gratuitously given. Okay. Because gratefulness releases this energy. It is before the thought of thanking. And so it was they've been great videos that we've been watching, and it has me asking, am I living this way? I don't live that way moment to moment, but I try to be aware of that, and my practice is to get to the place where I am living that moment to moment. And so last Sunday afterwards, we watched it and we listened to Reverend Lyles' wonderful talk about building the house of joy. And later that evening, when I turned on the TV, there was news of the Sutherland Springs. They didn't have all the details yet. But I know that it was taking a breath in. And it was sadness. And there was a lot of emotions there. And in this month where we are being grateful, I had to ask myself, so what does that mean? How does one live fully from gratefulness? So Monday morning, when I went into, I have my daily routine, and I am fortunate enough to be retirement, so I can do my journaling and my prayer and meditation as long as I want. Well, in my prayer time, I ask God, how do I be present in this moment? How do I live fully from events that happen like this? Show me how to show up. And so when I went into that stillness, I was kind of hoping that this time there would be a voice, an audible voice that said, okay, Carol, do this. And then I want you to do this. That doesn't happen for me. But it came very close, because as I was coming, as I finished my meditation and prayer time, I did receive a text. See? I didn't hear it, but God texted me. God did text me through the person of Gail Hay. And the text was, how do you pray for Sutherland Springs? And so we had a conversation. And this is important, because what happened was we connected. We connected, and you cannot be grateful without a connection. And as we had that discussion, we realized that we connected with each other and the Christ within each other. And that the way to pray with Sutherland Springs was through that connection of our Christ, the connection with each other. Because we know that our prayers were going to be for everyone, not just the victims, but for the shooter, for the community that was grieving. And that the only way that we could do this was that we held space for God to work through us. That was how we were going to know what action to take. It is holding space. Connection. That's what we humans are made for. Relationship. We want authentic connection. We want authentic relationship. Kind of funny, isn't it? We're born connected. We are born connected to God. How can we not be? But how? It becomes kind of a paradox, doesn't it? Because somewhere after birth, we become fearful of connections, and we become fearful of relationships, even though that is the one thing we want more than anything. And so what do? We do everything we can to sabotage, to dismiss or to fear those connections and those relationships. But that's what we were made for. We were made for that. And you cannot feel grateful without connection. And so, what does that mean? Having a practice, a gratitude practice. Many years ago, well, actually, Unity teaches praise and thanksgiving. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, their life was one that they lived from gratefulness. They lived knowing their blessings. And so as I first became aware of a practice of being thankful, it was more about intellectualizing it and analyzing it And I knew that later I heard, well, if you go to bed and you think about 3 to 5 things you're grateful for every night, and it's a wonderful practice, and I do encourage it. For me, at the time I was working, I was lucky I got 1 in before I fell asleep because I woke up early. And on occasion, although I journaled, on occasion I would do something I was grateful for, but not on a regular basis. So another friend and teacher, Diane, shared her practice with me. And she has a gratitude journal. And so I started writing down and all the things. And there's about 8 to 10 things every day. Sometimes it's very simple because my brain's not quite connected yet. And I'm thankful for the coffee. I am thankful for the air I breathe. And sometimes it's deeper. I'm thankful for wisdom. I am thankful for my spiritual community. And it's very simple. But what I've learned is how I've changed. And I wasn't really aware of that until I started thinking, how do I live gratefulness? And I noticed that in this, what this has helped me to do is instead of looking for the bad, I have started looking for the good in things. And so when I heard the news about Sutherland Springs, my first thought was, how do I hold space? How do I be the presence in this moment? That was my first thought. It would not have been had I not had a gratitude practice and learn to come from gratefulness. Do I do it all the time? No, because I am human too, so I don't do it all the time. But it is a process. It's also given me something else I realized, a connection more into my relationship of God, relationship from a place of love. And love is what unites us. It is that harmonizing power that is our right to use. It is our responsibility to use. The Bible gives us guidance as well. The scriptures are full of stories. And the thing is, these are all stories about us and about how to be present in the moment, how to overcome and be who we are supposed to be. And in John, in the chapter 1, verses 16 through 18, it tells us why. Because from his fullness, we have all received grace upon grace. The law indeed was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God. It is God, the only Son, who is close to the Father's heart, who has made him known. We have received. We have not had to beg or barter or plead. Grace upon grace is given to each of us. We are each the sons and the daughters. And the way to know that is through our own heart. And so how do I live gratefulness from gratefulness? It is a practice. It's a mindful practice. I live into the fullness of the Great One who has implanted itself within me. I do that by trusting it, trusting life. Jesus trusted it. Jesus demonstrated it. He trusted life because he knew he was God's stuff. He could be nothing less. And so he lived from that open, wide, grateful heart because he knew who he was. All that God is, I am. All that God is, you are. You are God's stuff, and that is always enough. We are always enough. We can never be less than enough. I am the created of the Creator. So being grateful, it is not about being grateful for the tragedies or the thing itself. So let's not misunderstand that. It is not the thing itself. That is not the gratefulness that I speak to. It is about coming from a place of gratefulness that connects us one to another. It connects me to Gayla. It connects me to Roy and Anna and Janice and Marcia and Cheryl. That's what it has done for me. It has given me a connection. It also connects me to the earth and to this planet, to taking care of it, to becoming a wiser steward of this earth. And it connects me to all those little fur babies that we love so much. Don't we? We love them. And so, and that connection allows us to feel the presence, because that is how we will know how to show up. That is how we know how to act, how to speak when tragedies happen, when we humans do these evil things to each other. That's what a gratefulness practice helps us do, is stand in our divinity and know how to be the peace in the midst of all of this. Brother David Steindl writes in on his website, he has, and we spoke about this a little bit in our class this morning, things that you can do along with prayer and meditation. And we have gratitude journals in the bookstore. That's where I get mine. He has a vision for the world, and I want to share that with you just briefly. Imagine a country whose citizens, maybe even its leaders, are brave, calm, and open towards each other. A country whose people realize that all human beings belong together as one family and must act accordingly. A country guided by common sense. And he gives us 5 small gestures of gratitude to counteract violence. 1, say one word today that will give a fearful person courage, because fear is what violence comes from. Not love, but fear. So gratefulness has the courage to trust, and so overcomes fear. The second thing we can do is make a firm resolution never to repeat stories and rumors that spread fear. From the stillness of your heart's core, he says, reach out, be calm, and spread calm. The third thing he says is make contact with people whom you normally ignore. Make contact with the panhandler. Make contact with the cashier. Make contact, that eye contact. To let them know, yes, I see you. I see you, the divine you. Give someone an unexpected smile today. That's not hard. When we're in that moment of gratitude, that is easy. Have you noticed how that changes you when somebody smiles at you? A genuine smile. And the fifth one, which may be a little more challenging, he says, listen to the news today and put at least one item to the test of common sense. Because what gratefulness does for yourself is as important as what it does for others. And I like how the Buddhist monk, the Zen master, Thich Nhat Hanh says, at every moment, life gives you the opportunity to do something with what life gives you. Grateful living is learning to avail yourself moment by moment of that opportunity. And so, we have mornings, don't we? Some mornings. I call up my hairball stepping, coffee spilling, dog barking, hairspray helmet kind of morning, right? And what I do is I stop and I go within so that I can realign with the truth of who I am, so I can open my heart and come from a place of gratefulness, because perhaps by my changing my perspective and my mood, we can change our world moment by moment. What will you choose today? Thank you.
When you walk through the storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm, it's a goal.